mixed-use complex, residential hotel complex. This group leading the charge, the developer leading the charge is called the Weller Group. That is probably going to be a $200 million investment on a 30-acre parcel of land out east by the Lucine Waterway. Right now, they're going through planning stages, and we anticipate for vertical construction to happen the early part of next year.
Okay.
Right.
Exquisite yachts.
Yes.
Are they moving forward with their plans as well?
Yeah, they're moving forward. I think they started construction already to that property. But there are a number of different transactions that are happening now as well. We have the Port Lakai Resort site under contract, and the Port Lakai Marina under contract. That is probably going to be a $50 million combined deal. The redevelopment of the existing harbor, and another major cruise line has partnered with one that has made this information public. So that's going to probably be at least another $200 million deal. We also have phase 2 of the medical school. That will probably start within the next 2 months. That's $20 to $25 million. There's a second phase to the downtown renovations going on.
My place.
Yeah, so that's probably another $4.5 to $5 million that's going to happen. Then we have a Bahamian group. I think it's called Bahamas Minerals and Manufacturing. And they're going to get involved in the manufacturing of pipes, PVC pipes. That's about a $10 million transaction. Then we have a high-end development. It's the Stanginger Group.
Right.
So they plan to build at least 22, 23 very, very high-end properties and create an island-type setting. That is probably going to be a $20 million project. So we have a number of these projects people don't see yet, but they're happening.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coming up in the news, the search is on for 2 men reported missing at sea. Plus, a vicious pit bull attack sending 2 people to hospital with serious injuries. And 2 new houses near completion to alleviate challenges at the Grand Bahama Children's Home. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news tonight, a mystery at sea is what the families of 2 men who went missing are calling it, as our Simone Davis tells us. In this report, the men were leaving Grand Bahama and heading to Bimini when they vanished. Here's that report.
It has been just over 48 hours since the families of James Two Jr. and Nazar Robbins has last seen or heard from them since they set sail from Grand Bahama en route to Bimini on Sunday. Now, the families believe that the men are lost at sea and have activated search and rescue efforts to find them.
Around 2:51 on Sunday, he told us that he was going to Bimini on the boat. And that was the last thing that we heard from him via WhatsApp.
Whitley Bryce is the niece of 30-year-old Toot and the god-sister of 23-year-old Robbins. She says sailing was their hobby and they did it at least once a month, so it was nothing new. But after several hours of not hearing from them after they left, family and friends began to panic.
Because normally they'll reach home within 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours the most. So it's very alarming.
According to other relatives, the men left from the Port Lakai Marina in a 2-engine boat they had just purchased that same morning. They say their greatest fear is that the boat capsized, but they remain hopeful that Toot and Robbins will return safe.
I think like something went wrong with the engine and they may be cut off and they just drifting. So hoping to find him today. We have some planes in the air. We're going up from 7 o'clock this morning. The Coast Guard is out there.
We're holding the faith
We are anxious, the entire community of Bimini, we are praying.
Now, we contacted police on Grand Bahama, who say they hadn't received an official missing persons report as yet and have liaised with police on Bimini to assist with investigations.
Just let us know something so that we can sleep, so that we can know that he is okay. Please just reach out to us and let us know something. Oh, God.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Simone Davis.
In other news, a local canine esthetician is speaking out and hoping to raise awareness about the danger of stray dogs roaming the streets. This comes following reports of a vicious attack on 2 individuals. The esthetician is urging pet owners to be more responsible and take better ownership of their pets.
Me about what they can do about the stray animals. They can't walk their dogs.
While it is not a new issue, Patrina Knowles, owner of Posh Potcake, says it has gone on for far too long. She's had encounters with aggressive animals herself.
I'm either being chased down by the neighborhood Potcake or I'm being chased down by someone's dog who is just not properly restrained in the yard.
Despite doing right by their pets, she says they are being impacted by the actions of those who neglect and mistreat their animals.
Now we're seeing more attacks happening because, as you know, dogs are pack animals. So one stray chasing you, you can basically defend yourself. But when it becomes 2, 3, 4, 6 dogs at a time, your chances of getting away unharmed is slim to none. You're gonna get bit.
And that is exactly what occurred when 2 adults were out for a stroll. They were attacked by 6 pit bulls. The incident occurred at 8 a.m. on Friday, March 17th, 2023 on Vallejo Road. The male and female were rushed to the Rand Memorial Hospital to be treated by doctors for serious injuries.
People have to understand that the dogs that they have is their responsibility. Powerful, strong breeds like Rotties, Dobies, these dogs can kill.
The unfortunate situation highlights the need for greater education and awareness about responsible pet ownership, as well as stronger measures to address animal cruelty and neglect.
The Humane Society can only do so much. From what I'm learning now, animal control can only do so much. So it really is going to take a community effort to get the situation under control. People have to understand, if you're going to get a dog, it is your responsibility.
Now, in connection with that animal attack, 63-year-old Elliot Hepburn of Freeport was arraigned before the magistrate's court on 2 counts of allowing dangerous dogs to be at large, 2 counts of unlicensed dog, 1 count of negligently causing harm, 1 count of negligently causing grievous harm. Hepburn pleaded not guilty to all charges and was granted bail in the sum of $2,000 with 2 sureties. This case has been adjourned to June 19th. Meanwhile, police are reminding the public that all dogs should be licensed at the Department of Agriculture. Failure to license your animals could result in a fine of $250. Well, in other news, the government is taking steps to address the challenges at the Grand Bahama Children's Home. Officials say they are currently working on additional living accommodations. This coming after the director of the home disclosed to ZNS News that they are operating at maximum capacity. Here's that report.
Children at the Grand Bahama Children's Home age out, get to a particular age and they have to move on.
The home, which provides a safe haven for children who have experienced neglect, abuse, or other forms of trauma, is struggling to cope with the influx.
Right now, like I said, we have 30 that we're dealing with, and that is capacity.
With limited resources and space, the situation has become increasingly challenging for the staff, providing the necessary care and support to the children. Minister of Social Services, the Honorable Obi Boshcom, says work is being carried out and 2 additional houses will be ready next month.
We intend to get the boys' home going. Also, we intend to open a center for girls.
According to the director of the Grand Bahama Children's Home, many parents are treating their children as if they are disposable, leading to a growing number of kids being taken from their homes and placed in their care. Minister Wilshcombe says the authorities are working to address the root causes of this problem and provide support to families in need.
The child is a primary focus. The sacrifice you have to make is for the child because you brought them here. That's a choice you made. And so you have to just sit back and provide for that child the best you can.
we need to have more than just a hotline. We need to now have a call center. And the call center must be where we're constantly talking to people on a daily basis. Because I know in circumstances when people have come to my office threatening suicide or talking about their difficulties, a conversation means a lot.
The Grand Bahama Children's Home plays a critical role in protecting vulnerable children and providing them with a safe and nurturing environment. Well, following a death threat incident at a local high school here on Grand Bahama, a juvenile was remanded to the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center. A local attorney is now weighing in on that matter and also speaking to mental health in the country. Jolanda Thompson-Everest reports.
Earlier in March, police officers along with the K-9 unit were called in at the Bishop Michael Elden School after a threat of violence was written on the senior boys' bathroom stall. 3 days later, the police force hosting a press conference noting that a juvenile male confessed to the incident and was placed in the Sandilands Rehabilitation Center. While attorney Osmond Johnson says it would be inappropriate to say that the wrong decision was made without having access to the full information.
The magistrates, before making such a determination, have a responsibility to assess the evidence, the allegations, and the factual matrix before them. I take the view that more than likely that process was done, and it was done thoroughly.
Johnson says for a 13-year-old to be placed in a mental institution, questions should be raised. And he also questions the benefit in committing someone to a mental health facility if they wouldn't receive the standard scope of care needed.
We are very judgmental when it comes to mental health issues, and it's very easy for us in our society to simply label someone as crazy and to discard them from normal society. I think we need to go away from that. Mental health issues are matters that are very important. It's a matter of public health, and so it is a matter of public importance, and I think that examples like this draw into focus just how important it is.
In November of 2022, the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, tabled a mental health bill in the House of Assembly. The bill effectively modernizes the law surrounding mental health and respects the rights of those facing mental health challenges. Attorney Johnson commends the government for taking such a stance.
I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a recognition by the government that not enough is being done to address what is an emerging issue in this country. We have, in my view, increasing numbers of individuals who face serious mental health challenges. And you need only drive around the streets of our towns and cities to see some of these individuals. A lot of young persons now, persons underneath the age of 30, are essentially losing their minds, for lack of a better word. And the reason that is, in my view, is because of a lack of support and a lack of proper statutory legislation under which the government can actually bring programs in place to address this issue. So I support the decision of the present administration to introduce legislation on that, along those lines.
And as for the mental health bill, the Prime Minister says the bill will also allow for the establishment of a mental health services board and review tribunal. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Azure Quant.
Thanks, Aja. Well, in news from police, you can call it a case of citizen's arrest. Police on Grand Bahama investigating a burglary which has left a male in custody. It was shortly before 5 o'clock yesterday morning when officers attached to the West End Police Station were called to a home in Deadman's Reef. Once there, they observed an adult male who was detained by the homeowners who was caught breaking into the home. Tonight, the known suspect is assisting police with their investigations into this matter. In other news from police in Abaco, police officers on Abaco have confiscated a quantity of suspected marijuana yesterday. Police tell us that it was shortly after 5 p.m. when officers attached to the Marsh Harbor Police Station proceeded to a bushy area on Christie Street off Forest Drive in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. After officers searched the area, they discovered a quantity of suspected marijuana along with a marijuana plant measured at 14 inches in height. No one has been arrested in connection with this incident. And tonight we will meet an Abaco student who is headed to a national competition. That story in the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues when we return.
List your home in Grand Bahama with H.G. Christie. Visit their new office in the Port Lucaya Marketplace. H. H.G. Christie, celebrating over 100 years of service.
Art Lucaya, the Grand Bahama Art Festival, is super exciting for me on many different levels. I believe that the festival has the potential to really elevate the art scene here on Grand Bahama.
So the art festival is really exciting to me because it's been a long time in waiting for a big event to happen, something where creatives here on Grand Bahama show our talents and have fun all at the same time.
The theme itself speaks for itself. Emergence, where butterflies emerging from our cocoons.
Creatives, being surrounded by creatives, I think it's contagious. We are going to have a great time with so many artists presenting in 3 different locations at the Rundichi Center, Fort Lucaya, and the Garden of the Groves.
Art Lucaya is going to be amazing. I want to encourage the people of Grand Bahama to come out, support.
You have to come out to this art festival. We always talk about we need something to do. This is something to do.
I want to see everybody out to this event, not just those in Grand Bahama, but all around the world. I don't care where you're coming from, come. It's going to be our first event. It's going to be great. It's going to be live, food, dances, performances, everything for you to enjoy. And definitely, you're going to have art.
We are going back to where the independence movement began, here on Grand Bahama.
That's right, Rick. 50 years ago, on the eve of independence, 2 men insisted that the first flag of an independent nation be lifted in West End to symbolize the struggle to attain an independent nation.
We will explore the home of hospitality, the country's largest settlement. What has changed and what remains the same?
5 decades later, we will also remember the fight, the movement, the growth, and the strength of the people of West Grand Bahama.
I'm Ricardo Lightbourne.
And I'm Shoshana Roll Farquharson. Join us beginning March 27th through the 31st every day at 2 p.m., where we will be coming to you live from West Grand Bahama in a special launch of our ZNS Independent series, Till the Road We Trod.
Only on the ZNS Network.
Due to Carefta trials airing live on the ZNS network, ZNS Health Zone will air Wednesday, March 29th at 5:30 p.m.
We did a biopsy, and they found out that 15%, I only had 15% kidney function.
That's when he told me, your kidneys are failing. And I was like, what?
According to the Bahamas Kidney Association, that about 10 to 13% of our adult population in the Bahamas suffer from kidney disease.
We're finding kidney failure in a lot more younger people.
ZNS Health Zone will air Wednesday, March 29th at 5:30 p.m. Tune in. Your #1 news team covering the North. Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. The National Primary School Student of the Year competition is not far away. Some of the brightest students throughout the country will have the opportunity to gather in the nation's capital under one roof, hoping to achieve one goal. One of the students looking to put his school on the map comes from a small community in Abaco, but that doesn't seem to intimidate him one bit. Here's Jay Philippe with that report.
With the National Primary School Student of the Year competition nearing, Cooperstown Primary School has selected 6th grader Nakai Pritchard as the top student at the school. Pritchard is the head boy at Cooperstown Primary and will now compete against 123 students throughout the Bahamas June 10th in New Providence at Evangelistic Temple for National Student of the Year. Principal Brajan McIntosh has no doubt that Nakai Pritchard will well represent Cooperstown Primary.
He met and probably surpassed most of them. He's an academic student. He is an avid sportsman. He takes part in his community. He does, in my words, a bit of philanthropy. He took part in the Cancer Month, where he would have given out badges that, helped to motivate persons who would have been going through or either in remission. He organized a cleanup campaign for his community, as well as he and his parents take it upon themselves to go out and give fruit baskets and bags to the needy. So I think he is well-deserving.
Nakai, who's an all-around student, says he's more than excited for the opportunity.
I feel great for being selected as Cooperstown Primary Student of the Year. The person that has been helping me is my principal, Miss Pajama McIntosh, and my parents and my teacher, Miss Andrea Walkings. They was helping me write my essays and jot down what all I have to write to send it and stuff.
The Cooperstown product has been working around the clock to improve his resume and portfolio for the Student of the Year.
It took me like 12 days to complete my essay, and I write about what all sports I play and what I will do to the committee and stuff.
Now, according to Nakai, growing up on the island with a chance to compete against the top students in the Bahamas, putting North Abaco on the map would mean much for his family and the small community of Cooperstown.
If I win student year for the Bahamas, I'll feel great to know that my parents and my principals have taught me well.
The humble and quiet student shares his favorite subject in school.
My favorite subject is social studies. I love to learn about the government. I love to learn about the Prime Minister.
Principal Brijan McIntosh, who has been teaching at Cooperstown Primary for 27 years, says she has high expectations for Nakai in spite of some small challenges on the island.
I think he will do well, but a drawback for him and I guess many other students on the island of Abaco is that we don't have many programs geared towards the youth and young people. So his resume could have been a bit more extensive had we had more programs offered here on the island for our youth.
Again, 123 students from across the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will be competing for some $200,000 worth of scholarships and prizes. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jay Philippe.
Well, many Bahamians enjoy participating in Junkanoo, the country's leading cultural festival. However, with Carnival now taking root with an annual parade, some believe that Junkanooers should do more to ensure that Carnival and Bacchanal do not break the true tradition of Junkanoo and the story behind the Bahamian festival. Our Jolanda Thompson-Everest reports.
An avid supporter of Junkanoo and Carnival, Charles Laroda, says that Junkanoo is more than just costumes. He explains that while those on the streets gyrate to the sound of music in beautiful costumes, more must be done to keep the two cultural forms from becoming one. Carnival in the Bahamas will be held in 2 months. Nonetheless, participants are gearing up for their lineup, and Laroda says that it is an exciting time for parade lovers. Despite the fact that persons have begun preparing, he says Junkanoo has progressed over the years, going from sponge costumes, newspaper costumes to flat pasting. He explains that the problem began when dancers were employed and started changing the whole routine.
Our big difference right now is the presentation of the music. Our dancers with Junkanoo, they are so busy imitating Trinidad gyrating. They're not telling a story. And the dancers in Junkanoo really should be telling the story with their movements, not just gyrating. Our costumes for the dancers have become an imitation of the skimpy costumes in Trinidad.
Laroda, who has been participating in Carnival since 1990, explains that Carnival is based on tradition, and he tells us that the costume portray historical characters such as the Dame Lorraine, the Blue Devils, and more.
They always pay homage to the sailors because of World War I and II, where the sailors were stationed in Trinidad. So you always have big sailor bands. And of course, they always pay homage to their national instrument, the steel pan. Here in the Bahamas, with Junkanoo, we have our traditional instruments, and over the years, we've added a lot of brass. We've added the horns, we've added all of that. And so now the original Junkanoo music has become basically the background percussion for our parades. But the good thing is we still use original music. Our distinctive features are our drums. That is the basis of our Junkanoo music, our cowbells, our whistles, and all the other noise makers. and with the added horns that give it an extra dimension.
He is now sharing that this upcoming generation has not been exposed to the traditional values of Junkanoo, hence the reason for mixing up the two.
Because of social media and the availability of social media, they're seeing this carnival image, this Trinidad carnival image, and they figure we should copy that. Now, what is against us with Junkanoo is that Junkanoo is strictly a Bahamian thing. It's only here in the Bahamas. I know down in, I think, Turks and Caicos and in Jamaica, they have something called Junkanoo. But it's not to the scale that we have Junkanoo.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson Everest.
Your check on sports is up next with Jay Philippe.
Good evening, I'm Jay Philippe and welcome to Sports. Well, a new slate of officers will lead the Grand Bahama Cycling Association. New president, Bishop Ricardo Grant.
Cycling is live. It's live here in the north, and we are really anticipating and expecting some great things ahead for cycling. We know that Nassau definitely has been carrying the reign, and certainly based on what we have heard and what has been coming down to portfolio-wise, we know that Freeport is looking to be named, cycling capital for the Bahamas, and I believe that seeks to be another challenge, another level of opportunity to really press and push cycling from the north here, given our dynamics here in the island.
Switching gears now, ZNS Healthy Lifestyle Basketball Tournament is this Friday at 7 p.m. at St. George's Gym. Teams would include Royal Bahamas Police Force, Port Authority, the Grand Bahama Power Company, and of course there'll be a matchup between the ZNS Northern Service and the Ministry for Grand Bahama.
We're expecting to do good. I've heard for the last few tournaments that ZNS has took the floating trophy, but this year we're expecting to take it back and bring it home for the Ministry for Grand Bahama.
We've heard about the rivalry. The last tournament, I believe they said ZNS won by 2 points, nothing major. We're here.
I feel as if it's no competition. It's just, you can't see they in shape.
And finally in sports, scores from Week 2 of the Grand Bahama Flag Football League, Lady Elite got the win over Fidelity Flames 31-6 in Ladies Division, while Out the Sea Tritons walked away with a W 19-13 versus Pink Sands Tigers. In men's play, Mobile Gold Titans shut out Buckeye Oilers 27-0, Three Links Boys dominated Freeport Container Port Stackers 38-0, and Sky's the Limit Rock Boys simply was too much for Coca-Cola Knights. They took this one 28-0. Week 3 action resumes this Sunday at the Grand Bahama Sports Complex. And that's a quick check on sports, ladies and gents. I'm Jay Philippe. Be blessed.
Bahama Port Authority and the Grand Bahama Artist Community presents Art Lakaya, a 4-day showcase of Grand Bahamian talent, March 23rd through 26th at Rand Nature Center, Port Lakaya Marketplace, and Garden of the Groves. Reserve your tickets at events.gbpa.com/artlakaya.
It's the coconut got this, cocoa skin driven madness, juiciness ice the back, this sweet like a sugar in a drip tonight. I is honey, I did all of my love me, sweet like a sugar in a watch it go ba 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 ba, 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 sweet like a sugar in a
new Click Platinum flavor, flavored beers with a kick of rum, make it platinum.
The first bold steps were taken on the road to independence.
So Black Lives mattered in that generation that led to independence. The late Dr. Martin Luther King frequent Bimini on the regular. People didn't know he came to West End too. I have a picture with Sir Sidney Poitier and my Aunt Pearl on the beach in West End.
During that period, West End was the capital of Grand Bahama. But it was the capital in more than just a name. It was, in fact, the business center for the entire island of Grand Bahama.
From the cardboard days where you push your window out with the stick and you knew everybody around you. And they looked out for your children, they looked out for everyone in the community.
Tonight, Northern Edition.
Our Facebook friend of the day is Assistant Superintendent of Police, Jameek Campbell, who is celebrating a birthday. Thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate your support. And that concludes the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. On behalf of the entire news team here in the North, I'm Miko Knowles. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned as the Bahamas Tonight continues.
Bold steps were taken on the road to independence.
So Black Lives mattered in that generation that led to independence. The late Dr. Martin Luther King frequent Bimini on a regular. People didn't know he came to West End too. I have a picture with Sir Sidney Poitier and my Aunt Pearl on the beach in West End.
During that period, West End was the capital of Grand Bahama. But it was the capital in more than just a name. It was, in fact, the business center for the entire island of Grand Bahama.
From the cardboard days where you push your window out with the stick and you knew everybody around you. And they looked out for your children, they looked out for everyone in the community.
Due to Carefta trials airing live on the ZNS network, ZNS Health Zone will air Wednesday, March 29th at 5:30 p.m.
I did a biopsy, and they found out that 15%, I only had 15% kidney function.
That's when he told me, your kidneys are failing. And I was like, what?
According to the Bahamas Kidney Association, that about 10 to 13% of our adult population in the Bahamas suffer from kidney disease.
We're finding kidney failure in a lot more younger people.
ZNS Health Zone will air Wednesday, March 29th at 5:30 p.m. Tune in.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the National Report, no apologies. Take action or the government will. A prestigious award makes a comeback. And in sports, 2 of 3 Bahamians in NBA face-off. The Bahamas tonight, the National Report starts now.
ZNS News is brought to you by BTC. For the fastest speeds across the Bahamas and the lowest price by far, switch to BTC today.
A shot to the gun industry. Good evening, everyone. I'm Makush Lapinder, and this is the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Thanks for joining us. As part of the broader effort to reduce the impact of gun violence in the Bahamas, Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis confirmed in a press statement today that the country joined a friend of the court brief in the United States Court of Appeal in the First Circuit in support of Mexico, who's appealing their case to hold U.S. gun manufacturers liable for the harm caused by their products. The statement noting that guns used in the commission of violent crimes in the Bahamas are not manufactured here, but instead are manufactured abroad and illegally trafficked across local borders. Prime Minister Davis stressing that a critical element in efforts to reduce violent crime is cracking down on the proliferation of firearms, with particular focus on strengthening borders and entry points and on interrupting networks of illegal smugglers. Joining the Bahamas in this judicial brief, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the Latin American and Caribbean Network for Human Security, a network of NGOs and affiliated professionals specializing in international humanitarian law and seeking disarmament in Latin America and the Caribbean. The brief states, unlawful trafficking of American firearms must be curtailed at its source, the U.S. gun industry. The gun manufacturers and distributors from a single nation must not be permitted to hold hostage to law-abiding citizens of an entire region of the world, and notes that the governments of the participating countries have a solemn duty to protect the lives, health, and security of their citizens. The brief goes on to argue that U.S. gun industry practices, including the bulk sales of guns to dealers who are known to engage in practices correlated with illegal weapons smuggling, have caused significant harm to Latin American and Caribbean countries. The brief points to the increase in gun violence here in the Bahamas, including collateral damage to unintended victims, including Bahamian children caught in the crossfire in recent years. Another example of harm cited in the brief includes the use of firearms by Haitian gangs in violent crimes and kidnapping, which has led many Haitian migrants to flee their home country. Well, in other news this evening, the Unregulated Communities Action Task Force confirming that joint operation comprising the Ministry of Works, Department of Immigration, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force began at 10 this morning. 260 eviction notices were posted in unregulated communities off Abaco's SC Boodle Highway on both the north and the south sides. Royal Bahamas Defense Force Marines assisted with this process that concluded at noon. The Joint Operations Task Force reports that the atmosphere for this operation was peaceful and calm without incident. Meantime, multiple generations are growing up in the Bahamas without a nationality. That, according to a report from the U.S. State Department. Well, today, the Minister of Immigration responded to the findings of that document that highlights shortfalls with the country's citizenship process. Cleopatra Murphy has the details.
We're not going to be rushed by virtue of someone remaining in this country for a significant period of time.
While the Bahamas is moving to address its immigration and citizenship laws, Minister of Immigration, the Honorable Keith Bell, says the Bahamas will not forego due diligence to speed up its citizenship process. Bell's comments follow the release of the U.S. State Department's 2022 Country Report on Human Rights Practices in the Bahamas. It concludes discrimination against women in nationality laws and the ineffective implementation of laws to grant nationality to long-term residents contribute to statelessness, citing, in one case, a foreign-born domestic abuse victim sought assistance from a safe house to register her Bahamian-born child. Without the consent of her Bahamian husband, whom she accused of abuse, the mother was unable to register the child or claim the child's Bahamian citizenship.
I am satisfied to the level and to the extent to which we ensure that our immigration laws, and particularly our Constitution, which empowers the government to bestow citizenship on an individual, I'm satisfied that our laws are strong and we are following them to the extent to which we will take our time to ensure that whomever comes to this country may be granted citizenship. That is the responsibility and the authority of the government, and we will ensure that we do our due diligence.
Bell takes that stance as he says many migrants come to the Bahamas illegally. The State Department also highlights the limited 12-month window when they turn 18 that a person born of foreign heritage has to apply for citizenship, only to wait years for approval, citing that in 2 cases, persons born to non-Bahamians were waiting for government's decision on their nationality more than 20 years after submitting applications.
We receive applications from a significant number of persons of different nationalities. And we have to check with these states, these countries, to ensure that documents that we receive are authentic. They have to be authenticated. We have to ensure that where there is no duplication or imposters, as we have seen in the past, persons who apply for citizenship, they have taken on the identity of other persons. And it raises a fundamental question in this country: when are we going to introduce a national system of identification?
With regard to the now lifted shantytown injunction, the report determined that when 10 shantytown homes were demolished after Hurricane Dorian, little effort was made to shelter residents of those shantytowns that have since been expanded. Bell says government has a plan in place to address the various persons living there, from Bahamians to those with work permits and illegal migrants, again reiterating government's priority.
The responsibility of the government is to Bahamians. So where we find that there are Bahamians residing in the shanty towns, we will make provisions through the Department of Social Services, the ministry, to ensure that we provide or at least give them the opportunity to find adequate housing. For persons residing in these shanty towns who are on work permits, the responsibility is for their Bahamian employers to ensure that they have adequate living accommodations. And thirdly, the category of irregular immigrants, they ought not to be here. They will be arrested and deported.
The report notes that Haitians are the largest ethnic minority in the country, with unofficial estimates pegging that number between 30,000 to 60,000. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Cleopatra Murphy.
The immigration minister also today confirming that 2 immigration officers caught on camera attacking 2 Haitian men have been placed on administrative leave. The incident unfolding at a Bacardi Road barbershop more than a month ago, but Bell could not say how long the investigation will continue. He also addressed concerns of corruption within the Department of Immigration.
The investigation will take as long as is necessary to ensure that the matter is thoroughly investigated. That's the first thing. The second point is that, and again, given where the investigation is between the police and immigration, I would not want to comment on that. But we do live in a country where there are laws. We do live in a country where there is a constitution and a person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Well, there's always this thing called corruption throughout the country, and it's being thrown here and there. The reality is, what is it that we are doing? We are reviewing the current practices of immigration, the policies, and ensuring that we put in place a proper and a thorough investigative system and expand the capacity of immigration to deal with these issues and concerns that are currently out there in the media.
Meantime, the government's looking to address and prevent future immigration breaches following a Supreme Court ruling in January that determined immigration officer Norman Bastian falsely imprisoned, sexually assaulted, and battered a Jamaican woman who had been released into his custody to verify her address in December 2014. Now, the victim, Claudia Edwards Bethel, filed a civil suit in 2019 after her rape case was thrown out in a magistrate's court, but died in hospital in May 2021 from COVID after having a baby. Minister Bell addressed how female detainees are handled.
Well, first of all, you would note that when we took office, we recruited 174 new officers. 3/4 of that squad is comprised of female immigration officers. But let me say the basic policy of immigration, as well as all law enforcement, that no female who is in custody in any of our law enforcement agencies ought to be handled or treated by a male enforcement officer. They have always been dealt with by female officers. That has always been the case. It has not changed, and that is etched. And so to the extent where there has been a breach, we will determine how we will address and fix the breach to ensure that it doesn't happen in the future.
No apologies from Immigration Minister, the Honorable Keith Bell, after a man says his proposal plans were ruined after his fiancée-to-be and her sister were turned away as they attempted to enter the country in February. Miami-based developer Hal Sayers says Bahamian immigration officials turned away his 25-year-old Moldovan girlfriend and her 36-year-old sister because they thought they were sex workers. Despite the call for an apology, Bell stands by the decision made.
I saw the reports. I have spoken with the Director of Immigration, and I am satisfied, for reasons which I am not able to disclose, that the proper action was taken not to land those persons in this country.
In related news, 34 nationals convicted in a magistrate's court for various offenses on the charge of overstaying. 8 Haitians pleaded guilty and were fined $300 to $3,000. In default, they'll serve time at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services from 5 days to 6 months. A guilty plea led to 3 Venezuelan nationals being fined between $500 and $1,500. Failure to pay ends in a prison time of 10 days to 2 months. We can also tell you 4 Jamaicans were fined $100 to $500. They too can serve time behind bars. The same to be said in the case of a Colombian fined $300 and an Ecuadorian $1,000. In addition to the charge of overstaying, a Venezuelan man was charged with harboring illegals. That particular case has been adjourned to March 30th. Further, 4 of 12 Haitian nationals pleading guilty to illegal landing were fined $300. 5 5 had their cases adjourned to April 3rd, and 3 were ordered deportation. In the case of a Haitian permanent resident confessing to harboring illegals, well, he was slapped with a $3,000 bail with 2 sureties. That matter picks up May 31st upon payment of all fines and completion of sentences. All the migrants are to be turned over to immigration officials for deportation. In other news, the Defense Force undergoes a major transformation as it strengthens its defense on the high seas. The military's head outlining a number of initiatives during the RBDF's annual church service. With the story, we go now to our Desmond Saunders.
Significant progress being made in the illegal immigration crisis. Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Raymond King says as the organization prepares for its transformation, his organization is making headways in better detecting and deterring illegal migrants.
As a result, and I am pleased to report that because of our presence, particularly in the southern Bahamas, the irregular movement of migrants and other transnational criminal activities have been successfully mitigated and deterred. These efforts have been skillfully executed using a maritime security plan which seeks to deter, deny, and detain criminal elements.
Over 1,000 illegal migrants repatriated so far for the year, costing over $300,000. In 2022, that price tag was $1.5 million. Outlining his plan to tackle the illegal immigration crisis, the Commodore says his organization now addressing manpower needs with the recruitment of additional Marines.
At present, 117 of 125 candidates remain in the new entry basic training program, and 30 industry professionals are being sourced to join the reserve unit to acquire the scarce competencies and augment the active service corps. Additionally, an aggressive recruitment drive is underway, beginning in the Family Islands, to enlist another 200 recruits during the first half of the fiscal year 2023-24.
An accredited Maritime Defense Force Training Institute being created to assist with the agency's professional development, new technology, and an expanded fleet also being added to its artillery.
Conceptual plans and costings are being completed to drive the further construction, establishment, and enhancement of His Majesty's Bahamian ship Coral Harbour and the regional commands in the northern Bahamas, which includes Bimini, Grand Bahama, and Abaco, and the southern Bahamas, Ragged Island, and Great Inagua, to realize and operate in a dispersed environment.
Other improvements in the pipeline include the installation of an integrated audio and video satellite-based communication system for shared information and intelligence, maritime surveillance systems, the acquisition of a 62-meter patrol and auxiliary vessel, and improved compensation and benefits for Defense Force officers. The Commodore says his organization is guided by a strategic vision and remains committed in tackling illegal activity that threatens the nation's peace and security. Desmond Saunders, Bahamas Tonight.
The Bahamas well represented at this year's Northern Caribbean Security Summit in Miami, Florida. The 3-day high-level meeting saw key stakeholders discuss ways to keep the Caribbean safe and preserve security in the northern region. Here's National Security Minister, the Honorable Wayne Munro, with some of what took place.
So, in my view, the summit was successful. Every U.S. agency that interfaces with security in this region was represented. Minister Keith Bell accompanied the delegation from the Bahamas because migration, irregular migration, is a major issue threatening the Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, and the U.S. And so, although it is outside the ambit of OPBAT, we cannot ignore it. In my view, progress was made. The general consensus was that we should continue the dialogue, and the Bahamas has accepted the challenge or the privilege of hosting the summit next year at a date to be announced.
United States Embassy Chargé d'Affaires Yusha Pitts revealed how the transshipment routes of illegal drugs, money laundering, and illegal migration from Haiti have changed significantly.
The security issues in the Caribbean, they may be based on drugs, but they aren't necessarily directly related to drugs anymore. So, for example, when you look at gun trafficking, that is fueled by drugs. When you look at illegal illegal migration or trafficking in humans, they're often funded or supported by the same networks as the original drug networks. I think there's a whole new financial sector that is spawned by the drug trade, so i.e. money laundering. And money laundering can be supported by totally new new sectors like crypto that we hadn't ever considered might be part of money laundering.
National Security Cooperation, the Bahamas participated in another regional law enforcement initiative led by Britain's Ministry of Defense. The Managing Defense in the Wider Security Context course, co-hosted by the Barbados Defense Force, focused on assessing local security issues in an international context and the current challenges to state sovereignty. Participants also studied the importance of governance and how to enhance leadership in the security sector. United Kingdom residents will soon be able to enjoy Bahamian alcohol thanks to the British High Commission's partnership with President of Wine and Spirits Guys Steve Boone. The new Providence-based alcohol distributor, who's a member of the United Kingdom Spirits Guild, will use his 40 years of trade knowledge, business acumen, and global contacts to support Bahamian exporters wanting to access the UK market. The UK and the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce plan to host an Exporters Web seminar next Wednesday, March 29th. British High Commissioner His Excellency Thomas Hartley indicated that the partnership fulfills Bahamas Trade Commissioner Philip Galanis' request for assistance to open UK markets to Bahamian exports. Well, legal wrangling in the FTX matter continues. This as the new CEO of the bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange, John Ray, has taken legal action to block Bahamian liquidators overseeing the wind down of its Bahamian affiliate, FTX Digital Markets, by asking a U.S. bankruptcy judge in Delaware to rule that FTX Digital Markets has no ownership interest in FTX.com's cryptocurrency, intellectual property, and customer relationships. According to Reuters, FTX is wrongly claiming ownership of the exchange's assets. This latest move by Ray is in opposition to a recent cooperation agreement reached between debtors in the United States and the three joint provisional liquidators appointed here in the Bahamas overseeing the winding down of FTX Digital Markets. Meantime, former FTX CEO and founder Sam Bankman-Fried is out on $250 million bail pending his fraud trial on October 21st. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. There's more news in a moment.
This portion of the news was brought to you by Sun Oil Limited Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
We are a leading Bahamian bank, one of the largest publicly traded companies on BISX. Our measure of strength is our growth and performance, with over $1.7 billion in assets. We remain committed to serving the interests of our shareholders, staff, clients, and communities. The confidence to lead, the performance to remain. We are Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
Are you overpaying for low speeds with your internet provider? Stop wasting your money. Switch to BTC for the fastest internet to the most homes in the Bahamas. Get up to 300 megs fiber fast speeds, up to 3 times faster than what you get now. Plus, get 164 TV channels, all for just $42.50 a month for 12 months. That means you'll save $860 for the year. For the fastest speeds across the Bahamas and the lowest price by far, BTC is for you. Switch to the largest fiber network in the Bahamas.
Just when Leo was about to buy this useless pair of Hands underwear, he remembered that it was Tuesday. Hungry for deals? You better come satisfy it at KFC before doing something crazy. Crazy Tuesdays. 5 juicy, mouth-watering pieces of world-famous KFC chicken, handmade with a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices for only $10. Crazy Tuesdays. A finger-licking good deal.
Bahamians are rediscovering Grand Bahama through immersive staycation experiences at Lighthouse Point Grand Lucaya. Pamper yourself at our Senses Spa or savor exotic cocktails by the sea. Unwind and enjoy serenity, 18 holes of golf, fine dining, romance, business conventions and meetings, grand outdoor events. For Bahamas resident rates at Lighthouse Point, call 242-373-1333 or WhatsApp message 827-8195.
This segment of the news is brought to you by RBC. Discover mortgage ideas shaped around you. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/home story to start your story today.
The government making it abundantly clear that if no action is taken on the part of downtown property owners issued demolition orders, it will take matters into its own hands. You may recall that some time back, orders were issued to 9 buildings, an opportunity really for owners to make the necessary repairs, restoration, or as Tourism Minister, the Honorable Chester Cooper explains, at the very least, let the Ministry of Works in on what's to be done.
Some of the buildings have been designated as historical buildings. We're working through this process with AMMC. There's typically a 30-day notice period. After that notice period has passed, we'll make another assessment in terms of which buildings will be demolished. And then we'll go from there. There are other buildings that have not been included in that 9. That we're looking at as well. We're committed to the restoration of Bay Street. We're going to do what we have to do to ensure that the buildings that's not historical buildings, the buildings where the owners and the stakeholders show no interest in restoration, that we are going to have those demolished.
Now, in terms of who's going to shoulder the financial burden of this whole process?
We anticipate that the cost of these demolitions is going to become part of a lien against these properties. So that in the event that they are sold, the government will collect much the same way it collects taxes that have not been paid and that are in arrears.
Well, there's evidence to support COVID-19's blow to the public education system. In fact, education officials are convinced many students have, as a result, missed 2 years of classes. Well, the Find Every Child initiatives designed to restore learning loss in a post-COVID-19 environment. Altavis Munnings tells us that the Prime Minister recently visited one of the schools where the program is said to be making a huge impact.
Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, was literally greeted like a rock star by S.C. McPherson Junior High School students during his recent visit there. Teachers and administrators also gave him a warm welcome. Accompanied by his minister and State Minister for Education, Prime Minister Davis took a trip down memory lane and narrated his life experiences to the students.
Even though, as I said, I had some idea of what I'd like to do with my life,
the students drew a portrait for the Prime Minister that he vowed he will mount in his office. They even tested the Prime Minister's gaming skills with a ping pong match and a game of chess. Some of the students got the opportunity to tell the Prime Minister about their goals for their next academic step into high school. The high number of student no-shows in the classroom led to major learning loss in a post-COVID-19 environment at the S.C. McPherson Junior High School. And Prime Minister Davis was pleased to hear how teachers and administrators, as well as students, catapulted the Find Every Child initiative to make a difference.
The absenteeism was like 50%, right, up to 365 students or more, and they're now down to 40. What a remarkable achievement. And so it was really touching for me to see the eagerness of hope.
The Prime Minister also pledged to help S.C. McPherson Junior High administrators and teachers obtain more resources to entice students to remain in the classroom, possibly with the help of corporate Bahamas.
I would expect that teachers, with the commitment, with the passion, and understanding of what impacts their students, once they put it all together, they could encourage them to be in school and not just wait for them to come to school, but when they're absent, following up for them.
Principal Shavana Darvo candidly informed the Prime Minister and the Education Minister on how the school's strong attendance numbers could have only happened with the dynamic work of her support team.
They're the ones who created the WhatsApp groups. They're the ones who encouraged the each one, reach one. Whether it was parents, you reach out to a parent and say, hey, you have a parent who may be living close by who don't have or who doesn't have the resources that they need. Can you assist them? We had the students who also did the each one, reach one. You find your friend who's not coming to school.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Altaviz Munnings.
Well, the pandemic may have thrown things off for 3 years, but the Sir John Templeton Memorial Scholarship is back. And behind its relaunch, the Lyford Key Foundation and the Templeton World Charity Foundation. The SJT Scholarship offers 3 graduate students the opportunity to pursue a doctorate degree in business or theology. This in line with the person Sir John was, as the Lyford Key Foundation Chair Basil Galandris recalls. He was a philanthropist, Rhodes Scholar, and resident of the Bahamas for 50 years who believed in the power of education and helping others fulfill their potential. That said, the scholarship has doubled from its initial $20,000.
As many as 3 graduate students will now be eligible for up to $40,000 each annually for up to 2 years. The cost of a college education is increasing around the world, so this substantial investment, one of the largest the Lyford Key Foundation's administers, will help scholars comfortably focus on their studies without financial stress or hardship. The eligibility criteria has widened to include applicants who are exploring themes around human development, to include human potential, and who are eager to improve the quality of life of mankind through their research, knowledge creation, and scholarly practice.
Some 34 scholars have benefited from the program at a cost of over $1 million. The scholarship will open February 2024. Templeton World Charity Foundation President Andrew Saranzin says they're committed to this endeavor based on the foundation. Sir John Lade.
He had an amazing business career as one of the best stock pickers in the 20th century. Built that business in the Bahamas. Started out right down the road, above the police station that was there. And so that's where the program started. And then he had a lifelong interest in theology. He similar to our work in the laws of life, these sort of laws of the spirit that guide us, that come from the world's religions, that is sort of wisdom that can be applied in everyday life. And so that was the start of the scholarship program. But now, of course, it expands to so many other areas of human development in science, in the humanities as well. Just reflecting, I think, a broader, more expansive vision that reflects what we do every day at the Templeton World Charity Foundation.
Savings, earning income, investing, managing credit, and managing risk, all topics students from primary to university level were schooled on during Monday's National Youth Consultation, the theme of which was confronting the Caribbean debt challenge, building resilience for sustainable development. This at a time when the Caribbean is said to be among the most indebted regions in the world. The COVID-19 pandemic only exacerbated the issue.
We are in our second consultation exercise with regard to that particular mandate of gathering information to facilitate policy making with regard to the Caribbean and other world entities in the financial arena.
Now, time for the weekly poll question, and this week we're asking, should corporal punishment continue to be administered in schools in the Bahamas? Yes or no? To participate, simply log on to our website, that's www.znesbahamas.com, as well as any of our social media platforms. To answer, the poll's final results will be aired on Friday, and as always, thanks for participating. The National Report returns after this.
Everybody's idea of home is different, so every mortgage should be unique, shaped around you, flexible to move and change as you do. RBC will come to you to get you started and stay by your side to help guide you every step of the way. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/home story and start your story today.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at RBC Caribbean.
Good to grow. Keeping you in the know. Keeping you in the know. God, if it's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow. If it's good enough to eat, then it's good to grow.
The government of Turks and Caicos is looking to implement a form of local government and have reached out to the Bahamas for help in this regard. According to Family Island Administrator Linton Pinder, a team is working closely with the government of Turks and Caicos who wish to implement a form of local government similar to the Bahamas.
We've already had a delegation visit TCI. I was a part of that contingent that took place in January. And obviously the dialogue has continued to the point where we are now. They're now here again for a second time, studying our model, seeing the way the Family Island Administrator interacts with the council, how the local government practitioners make it all happen in partnership with central government.
This led government officials from the islands of Turks and Caicos on a tour of several Bahamian islands. On Monday, officials were on the ground in Eleuthera, meeting with several local government practitioners.
We have introduced them to the legislation, the rules and procedure manual, and all of that to see how best they can introduce, and we also are providing them with our challenges. So their local government would be the best form that we feel could be established.
Turks and Caicos Deputy Permanent Secretary Frederico Johnson said they hope to have their local government established in those islands by the end of this year.
So by the next financial year, we want to be able to launch it.
Okay.
Currently, we have some similar makeup where we have district commissioners on the smaller islands. They're similar to your island administrators. So the role is interchangeable. So we've already have some of the structure in place. It's just the local government council side that we want to put in place.
Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Giorgio Bain.
You can find it all at Builders Mall. From cement, lumber, block, plumbing, and electrical, to paint, lights, vanities, and tiles. Not to mention all the tools you could possibly need to get the job done. Say if you're starting a major project, adding the finishing touches, or just doing some repair or rental work around the house. FYP, the Paint Center, and Tile King can help. Stop by or call 601-8453. Located 69 Wolf Road, Nassau. You can find it all at Builders Mall. Building, painting, and tiling, the Bahamas.
Join up for life insurance. Secure the ones that you love. Join up with Family Guardian. We offer full protection. Join the family. Join the family. Family Guardian. Protect the ones you love. A friend that you can trust. Family Guardian.
Shell Unleaded improves your fuel economy, giving increased miles per gallon, allowing you to do more of what you really want. Special additives used in Shell Unleaded improve your engine's efficiency. So go further with Shell Unleaded. Venture out to beaches, Junkanoo, and festivals, and bring home memories that will last a lifetime. Shell, fueling journeys that matter.
Searching for insurance for your beloved senior citizen? Star General offers the Silver Medical Plan for which you can apply up to age 85. The network includes the finest hospitals and healthcare centers worldwide. Insurance is provided through an AM Best A-rated insurer with reinsurance support through Lloyd's of London. Other features include no medical tests required, 4 deductibles, and $2 million lifetime benefits. Visit or call Star General Health and Life Insurance today.
If you came across someone wearing mismatched socks today, there's a real good chance it was for a really worthy cause. Today is set aside to celebrate and raise awareness to Down Syndrome Day here in the Bahamas and throughout the world. This year's theme, With Us and Not For Us, focuses on inclusion of all those with Down syndrome to every facet of society. National Commission for Persons with Disabilities Chairperson Nalini Bethel believes including the disabled in every aspect of daily life exemplifies the rights-based approach. Adding to that, Bahamas Down Syndrome Association's President Betty Taylor says the group continues to advocate for full and effective participation by members in all decision-making and to have the freedom to make their own choices. A life remembered ahead of his private funeral on Friday. Former broadcaster and diplomat Ed Bethel's family and friends are gathering this evening at a memorial service at the 82-year-old's longtime home church of St. Mary's Anglican Church, Virginia Street. Our Desmond Saunders is at that event. Desmond, what can you tell us?
Well, Ed Bethel was a pioneering figure, an iconic voice who witnessed, captured, and recounted some of the most significant historic events in Bahamian history, one of them being the July 10th, 1973 independence celebrations when the Bahamas was born and we saw the birth of a nation. Here at St. Mary's Anglican Church this evening, at this edifice, these seats are going to be filling up quickly, quite quickly, as scores pay tribute to this icon, Ed Bethel. Joining me live on the broadcast this evening, I have Henry Dean, who's the acting chairman of the Lunch Brunch crew, the crew that is putting on this event here at St. Mary's Anglican Church this evening. Pleasant good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm well, sir. Thank you for having us. Thank you for coming here this evening to help us celebrate this occasion.
Now tell me why the Lunch crew is putting on this event here this evening.
Well, the Lunch Brunch has been around for about 50 years, and we meet almost every Tuesday. Each of our members who have died, we try to do this. But tonight is a special one. Outside of those members who have been politicians and have died, tonight is a special one because Ed Bethel has lived. He has participated in many historic events. He has served as ambassador. He's just a wonderful soul, and we find this as a very special occasion to celebrate the life he has lived and demonstrated for us.
Give us an idea of what will take place here this evening, a rundown of the memorial service.
We are going to have about 10 persons giving tribute. 4 or 5 of them will come from the Lunch Brunch grouping. And then we'll have persons from the various disciplines, professional disciplines that he's been involved with, pay tribute to him, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Fred Mitchell.
Okay, so there you have it, the acting chairman of the Lunch Brunch crew, an organization that Ed Bethel was a part of. And let me remind you that the Governor General, Prime Minister, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs scheduled to sign the book of condolences for the late His Excellency Ed Bethel at 9 a.m. Wednesday, the 22nd of March, 2023 at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Goodman's Bay Corporate Center, Cable Bahamas, or Cable Beach, sorry. So that's what's happening here, St. Mary's Anglican Church, a fitting tribute for an icon, Ed Bethel.
Well, thanks, Desmond. There are some of Ed Bethel's former colleagues here at the BCB also sharing memories of their time together.
My fondest memory about Mr. Bethel is that he's one way all the time, smiling, fun to be around with, but when it comes to duty, he was strict. He got things done.
He's a legend in broadcasting, and a lot of the news persons, reporters, they learn a lot, especially the ones from the 80s and the 90s and so on. He was a very, very good broadcaster, and you could depend on his story because it's factual. He's going to make sure everything is done right, you know, or you do his research in terms of what you can bring on the radio or television. You know, very humorous, like to joke around, because when you are at our retiree parties, especially in December of 2021, and the way he was at the party, he was so humorous, you know, and everybody enjoyed it.
What if I told you that the future is here? That is not some magical door we walk through, but a place we create. It's home. The place where you can download a 2-hour movie in seconds and stay connected to loved ones even when traveling far from home. The fastest, most secure, and reliable way to stream the internet, so you can do what you want, whenever you want. Where internet moves at lightning speeds, smoother and more reliable than anything you've ever seen. This future-proof technology can take you to worlds that you can only imagine. That's the power of Alive Fiber. The future is here. The future is home. The future is Alive Fiber.
Culture came alive on the island of Eleuthera with its annual Junior Junkanoo Parade. Disney Cruise Lines partnered with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture and Junior Achievement Bahamas to create this dynamic display of culture. Disney Cruises Public Affairs Director Joey Gaskin says the company gave funding and donated materials to support the competition.
Through virtual mentoring workshops, the Disney team shared ideas to inspire the young artists as they prepared for their competition. All the while, the students inspired their mentors by teaching them about the rich traditions of Junkanoo. Disney Cruise Line is creating a new experience in Eleuthera at Lighthouse Point, which will be inspired by the natural environment and celebrate the culture and spirit of the Bahamas.
Deep Creek Primary School students Caitlin Pinder and Tayshawn Brown were proud to participate in promoting Bahamian culture.
Me and my classmates are celebrating the Bahamian culture by just enjoying ourselves and doing what our parents and great-grandparents did back in the day. The thing that I learned about Junkanoo over these past few weeks is that it's just for fun, just to show kids their Bahamian culture.
What makes Junior Junkanoo special to me is that I get to be the goat skin drum and be happy whilst I do it.
Well, it's time now for a check on Family Island weather with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean. Good evening, Basil.
Good evening, Makisha. After a few days of overcast skies and long periods of rains, we are now near clear skies this evening with a temperature of 76 degrees, a relative humidity not bad at all. 57% east-northeast winds at 17 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,022.3 millibars. That's 30.19 inches, and the pressure is steady. Temperatures around the family values this evening, they are brought to you by Family Guardian Insurance Company. We're protecting you. 75 degrees in Freeport, Grand Bahama, Greenville, Key, and Marsh, Ababaco, the Berry Islands, 76 degrees, 76 also in Harbor Island and Roxanne, Eleuthera. Black Point, Exuma, 77, Kemp Space, Orlando, 77, and Fresh Creek, Central Andros, they have a temperature of 76 degrees. Otterstown, Cat Island, San Salvador, and Rum Key, 77 degrees there, 76 in Georgetown, Exuma, more 77s in Ryegate Island, Clarence, Long Island, and Crooked Island. A little warm in Betsy Bay, McGuan at 80 degrees, also Ackland's 80, Matthew Town in Nago 81, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 80 degrees. And your boating forecast tonight is brought to you by Builders Mall, home of FYP, the Tile King, and the Paint Setter. In the northwest and for all areas, tonight through Thursday, your winds are going to be northeast at 15 to 20 knots, the wave height 4 to 7 feet, and that means caution flags are in place for your boaters throughout the 700 islands. Tide-wise, it's going to be high at 8:41 on this evening. We'll have another high tide at 9:03 tomorrow morning. That's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they are brought to you by Royal Star Assurance.
Stop the world. I want to get off. Stop the world and let me off. Tired of going round and round. I've played the game of love and loss. You stop the world
And that's going to do it for your international temperatures, brought to you by Royal Star Assurance. But stay tuned. Your extended weather forecast just so ahead.
I'm tired of going round and round.
Link up with BTC and call it one and done. Link up with BTC and call it one and done.
I'm Corval Piper. I told you a few weeks ago that BTC's fiber imprint has landed here in the Stapleton Gardens community. Residents are now experiencing super fast connectivity with their mobile home and business services. And so to mark this very special occasion, we have set up our command post here at the Stapleton Gardens Community Park. Our teams are canvassing the area, and we're making it a family fun day.
One of the things that I think is actually really valuable for the Stapleton community out here is the savings that they can get with us when they sign up with BTC today. And it's not just for this community, although we're presently here. It's for anybody within the fiber footprint that we have, right? If you sign up with our Extreme 300 plus TV Max right now, you're going to get that 50% off for 12 months. That's $42.50 every month. You're going to save yourself $510 for the year just by signing up for that plan. And if you're a new customer or you're with the other guys and you switch over, there's an additional average of about $350 to $400 that you're going to save. So that's $860. It's almost $1,000 a year that you're going to save just by getting that one plan.
So our sales team, they're out in full force, knocking on the doors, talking to potential customers. You know, we partnered with the associations, Crime Watch, everybody, so that we can be here today and just make a direct connection to the residents of Stapleton Gardens. We want them to understand what fiber really means for them.
Want to know how truly awesome BTC's fiber imprint really is? Well, talk to any of the residents here in the Stapleton Gardens community, or wait until we get to an area near you real soon. These are still the moments that move us. I'm Corval Piper. Be well and be back here next. BTC Connection.
Keeping you connected.
The most important thing in life is family. And whenever you need reliable advice, you look to the people you know you can trust. At J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers, we earn our clients' trust every day. Whether it's home, motor, travel, or commercial insurance, we've got you covered. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
JS Johnson Insurance. Peace of mind.
50. zero. Wow, what a legacy. At CBS Bahamas, we've been helping you build beautiful for 50 years. We look forward to 50 more years and beyond in continuing to be the nation's one-stop shop for home building and improvement. CBS Bahamas. Build beautiful.
Honey, everything okay?
Everything's fine.
Shop online for free in-store pickup in 2 hours or less.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
Welcome to your Tuesday Sports, everyone. I'm Amajal Knowles, topping sports news. It was a battle of the Bahamians last night in the association as Buddy Hield and his Indiana Pacers would take on Kai Jones and his Charlotte Hornets. Jones and his Hornets would erase a 21-point first-half deficit to beat Indiana 115-109. Jones, in 16 minutes of play, finished with 2 points and 3 rebounds. As for Buddy Buckets, he would pour in 20 points and 4 rebounds in 32 minutes of action. And with the win, the Hornets improved to 23-50 on the season, while the Pacers would drop to 32-40 on the year. A note from this one, Buddy would appear in his 72nd straight game on the year, having played in every one this season. The Pacers continue their 4-game road trip tomorrow in Toronto, while the Hornets will be in New Orleans on Thursday night. With the 50th Carifta Games quickly approaching, preparations are well underway to ensure that this year's edition of the Games are the best there has ever been. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Bolag, giving an update this morning at Cabinet.
Well, preparation is going quite well. Actually, this morning the LOC and as the committees are meeting to ensure that we have things in place to accept our delegates when they come and ensure that they are taken care of and treated royalty as we should have, knowing that this is the 50th anniversary for the Carifta, coincide with our independence 50th anniversary.
Bolag adding the ticket sales are going well, but implored Bahamians to not wait until the last minute.
And so we know how Bahamians go, that at the night hour, on the day of event, most of them will come to the stadium and expect to buy purchase tickets. So we have no doubt that the stadium would be sold out. The sad thing for us is that Jamaica's already purchased more than 20% of those sales. And so we, as Bahamians, don't get to the ticket booth and start purchasing, then we can see more green, yellow, and black in the stands than the aquamarine, gold and black. So we want the Bahamians to understand that they must come out and that the young people need their support in order to have that extra push that we need to make sure that they cross the finishing line in front.
More track and field news. It was a big outdoor season opener for world and Olympic champion Stephen Gardner at the 17th Annual Spring Break Classic in Carolina, Puerto Rico. In his continued comeback this year from injury, Gardner won the men's 200 meters this weekend at the 2023 World Athletic Continental Tour in a quick time of 31.59 seconds, which was just shy of his Bahamian national record of 31.52. 27-year-old native of Abaco is now ranked at number 8 on the world's 300-meter all-time list outdoors as he prepares to regain his 400-meter title at the World Athletics 2023 World Championships in July in Budapest, Hungary. Gardner, who missed the defense of his title at the 2019 World Championships in Eugene due to tendon inflammation last summer, came off a pair of victories in the 300-meter indoors with a season's best of 33.03. The Bahama senior men's national soccer team has been preparing for its final window of the Confederation of North, Central American, and Caribbean Association Football Nations League B Group C action. They will kick off that window with a key match against Trinidad and Tobago at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium this Friday at 4 p.m. A look at the roster that will represent the 242. The goalkeepers will be Ian Lowe, Michael Butler, and Vance Wheaton. Midfielders Michael Massey, Deron Ferguson, Amari Bain, Christopher Ramming, Ruben Edgecombe, William Bales, Marcel Joseph, and Nicholas Lopez. As for the forwards, you have Jordan Wilson, Wood Julmis, and Naheem Johnson. The defenders will be Troy Pinder, Leslie St. Fleur, Miguel Thompson, Floron Wilson, Quentin Carey, Rowan Davis, Elijah Mitchell and Ian Harris. The team will be coached by Nestle Jean. And that's been Liquor Sports on this Tuesday. A check on weather when we return.
This is ZNS Total Sports.
On March 31st, Phil Stubbs at the Farm. Tickets on sale now. $50 general admission, $75 VIP, $150 for the Skybox party. For Skybox rates, call 525-4180. Get your tickets online at BahamasEtickets.com. The Beauty Shack, Proud Mary, or any Flying Dutchman location. Joining Phil on stage, Veronica Bishop, Ancient Man, Mr. Anderson, Phil Stubbs, live in concert. Friday, March 31st at the Farm, Marshall Road.
Bahamians are rediscovering Grand Bahama through immersive staycation experiences at Lighthouse Point Grand Lucaya. Pamper yourself at our Senses Spa or savor exotic cocktails by the sea. Unwind and enjoy serenity, 18 holes of golf, fine dining, romance, business conventions and meetings, grand outdoor events. For Bahamas resident rates at Lighthouse Point, call 242-373-1333 or WhatsApp message 827-8195. Time now for weather.
In our final look at weather, that fall boundary that brought much needed rains to the northwest and central parts of our country over the weekend and just yesterday is now moving into the southeast parts of the country, and that will provide some cloud cover and a few showers there as well as it continues to slowly move towards the south and east. Our forecast for tonight, we're looking at clear to partly cloudy conditions, still on the breezy side with the low temperature getting down to 68 degrees. And tomorrow it's going to be windy with lots of sunshine and some patchy clouds in the mix as well. High temperature tomorrow, 79 degrees. Your extended weather forecast, beautiful weather expected over the next 7 days, taking us right through the weekend. Things will start to warm up a bit on Thursday. We'll get you back into the 80s during the daytime. Those nighttime temperatures remaining comfortable through Thursday, but as we head into the weekend, we'll start seeing those nighttime temperatures in the low 70s. Makishla.
Well, thanks, Basil. Good Samaritans do still exist in the world. This next story, one of when misfortune ends in, well, a miracle of sorts. Days after being robbed in broad daylight, a popular food vendor shares her extraordinary ending. Desmond Saunders has more.
Imagine working at a hot dog stand for hours only to have your earnings suddenly snatched from an armed robber. Well, that's what happened to local hot dog vendor and owner of Donna Delectables in Palmdale, Donna Miller, the bandit fleeing with less than $100 in broad daylight.
What happened is my cashier, he left the robber an opportunity, and the opportunity was taken. He left the kitty up here on top of the car, and the guy ran by and took it.
But this misfortune quickly changed when Donna's good customers, Demetrius Smith and Francisco Valcine, stepped in.
And so I came today, and I said on Facebook, hey, listen, I'm just gonna make a smile. We want about 100 persons to come over here. Hot dogs is for free, and as I did that, other persons who shared the same mindset of me said, you know what, I'm going to match it. And then people came up here with different donations just to assist in the help Donna today.
Well, Demetrius, he made a post on Facebook, and I saw the post, and I was like, you know what, it's a good gesture. It sounds like it's a good plan. You understand? So I messaged him, and we came together, and as you can see, success.
Donna's been a staple in the Palmdale community for years. I ate hot dogs for years, and now I come here with my son every Saturday. And so when I heard about it, it was very sad to hear.
And that social media post resulted in scores lining up with hundreds of dollars in donations and free hot dogs.
Magnificent. I'm talking about people that come in every day, still came today. Like somebody that came this morning, still came this afternoon.
Desmond Saunders, The Bahamas Tonight.
Well, a great gesture there, Desmond. That does it for the Bahamas Tonight. Thank you for continuing to make ZNS your first choice for news and information. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better than ZNS. From all of us here at ZNS, thank you for watching and good night.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.